Hey guys, Peter here to do an album review. Today I'm here to tell you all about the latest from the atomic Bitchwax Scorpio, out August 28th on TP Records. This album has 10 tracks, 38 minutes in length, and this is the band's 8 full-length studio album. This is a very interesting record, and the structure of this record was the first element that immediately spoke to me the moment I started listening to this album. The third song on the record, Ninja, is an instrumental track. And as I was listening to it, I started to think that there's no way these guys are going to create an album with an instrumental track this early on into the record, which would make the album very lopsided, and not put at least another instrumental track down the line in order to better balance the sound and structure of this record. Not only they added another one, they added 2 more instrumental tracks. One of them is the closing track on the album. So this divides, from a structural perspective, divides the album into 3 parts, giving the record the sense of going up and down like a roller coaster ride, but without affecting the overall soundscape that the record has. The structure gives you that unbalanced feeling, but the sound stays very cohesive and linear across every single song, because they have a very signature approach in how they make music. They blend 60s, 70s rock, stoner rock, progressive, even psychedelic elements. There's a lot of different things coming at you in the way they create songs. So they have an overall sound and overall mood that they have for every single track on this album. But the way they mix them allow the record not to be repetitive, to have great fluidity, to be very dynamic. And then when you add that overall structure to it, you're not changing a lot of the sound elements. At least you're not changing the feel that the songs have drastically. You're letting the structure of the individual songs and the overall record dictate the pace that you get out of the overall album. Once you get deeper into the sound, there are 2 elements that are extremely important for this record to work and for the band and for their sound to be what it is, and that is the guitars and the bass. I love the grooviness of the guitars. I love the melodies that you get out of the guitars. The solos on this record are outstanding. Every solo matches the mood, the essence of the song to perfection. They really were able to capture what the song was all about, the feeling, the place where it transports you in, and then create that into the solo or add that to the song through the solo in order to really expose the beauty of the track and all the essence and all the fragrance that the songs have. So the solos on this album are just outstanding, but the overall guitar playing, it's really phenomenal on this record. Really interesting approach in how they then mix that guitar with the bass, because the bass is the second element of the sound that I thought was just really creative and really well put together for this album. It adds a little bit of darkness, but it also adds a lot of grooviness to the overall perspective of each and every single song. So the way the bass interacts with the guitars is extremely important to create that 60s, 70s stoner psychedelic rock vibe that this album has on every single track, and then obviously overall. I felt that the bass work was just really creative, and once again, they didn't hide it in the mix. It has a predominant role in how the songs come together, and it even has some spotlights where it really comes into the forefront, and you can really engage that bass sound and how well it's put together in the overall mix and in the overall structure of the songs themselves. As far as vocals are concerned, I like the consistent approach from top to bottom. This is a record that really has one size fits all, and I love how they record the vocals almost a little bit deeper into the mix, feeling a little bit darker. It adds that 60s, 70s rock vibe to the overall sound. You can't have a record that sounds dated or that has a throwback sound approach and the vocals sound modern. It just doesn't work. Then you feel like something just doesn't belong there. So they were able to really create the perfect sound to go with the perfect vocal approach and then the perfect recording method in order for these elements to come together and really transport you back in time. This is a record that really feels like a throwback album all around, and the way it's put together and the way it sounds and the way it's structured. Just really outstanding work from the Atomic Bitchwax on this album on all the parameters that make this record tick. Overall, really exciting record, really interesting album, really interesting approach, and a record that I just had a lot of fun listening to it. It's a great rock album through and through. It just has great songs, great guitar work, great musicianship, and when you have an album like this, it doesn't matter if it feels or sounds a little bit throwback or a little bit dated. It still resonates with today's modern audience. At least with me, it does. I just love the work that they put into this record, and I love how it was constructed. Really creative, really well crafted, and then obviously really well delivered. As far as songs are concerned, I want to start off with Hope You Die opening track. First of all, I love the lyrics on this song. It's just giving the middle finger to somebody who you don't like. I just love the content of these lyrics. I love the message, and then I love the way they deliver these lyrics to the audience through this really fun track to listen to. Once again, it's the opening track. It has a great rock and roll feel to it, almost a little bit of an old school style sound and structure, and then obviously overall atmosphere, very 70s driven rock track. The drums are awesome on this song. I felt that they had a really large predominant role in how this song works and how it feels, and then obviously in how it's structured. Definitely one of the main ingredients of this track. The vocals are pure rock and roll. They match the intensity, they match the melody, and they definitely match the atmosphere that this song has together. Overall, great combination of sound and vocals, finding the perfect blend in order to really deliver a very interesting track with great, fun lyrics. I love the lyrics on this song. Next, Easy Action, a rock track top to bottom. This is just pure rock and roll top to bottom. Verses are very straightforward, rock sound. There's not much to it. It's just really a linear approach. Great guitars, great rock sound all the way through. It gets a little bit more hooky, catchy in the chorus, which is exactly what you want from a pure rock and roll perspective. It becomes a lot more memorable and makes that chorus come to life and really become the heartbeat of this song. And I love how it works. I love how it comes together. The transition from the verses to the chorus is wonderfully done. It's very smooth. It adds a lot of the chorus adds a lot of melody and grooviness to the song, while the verses are a little bit more straightforward. But the combination of the two is just outstanding. The guitars, once again, very, very well put together for this track, adding a lot of grooviness to the sound, adding a lot of melody, still being driven. They still have that rock drive sound to it, but at the same time, specifically once you get into the chorus, they definitely become a lot more groovier, a lot more melodic. There's also a great bass lead that then takes you into the solo, and I love that transition. Going from the chorus to that great bridge on the bass, magnificent, very groovy once again, really extending the grooviness that you got in the chorus into that bridge, moving into the solo. The solo, very explosive, very dynamic, really bursting out of the seams with energy and sound. And that was something that you needed from this kind of track and the way it is constructed. I love this guitar solo on this track. Last but not least, Betting Men, one of my favorite songs on this album, perhaps my favorite song on this album. I just love the sound that it has. The guitars are a little bit more driven, a little bit more raw. They're more narrowed down to the point. They don't take you down a weird path. They know exactly where this song is going, and they kind of guide you all the way through it. The chorus allows the bass to come in a little bit more, to add a little bit more presence, and really give some substance to the way the guitars sound, giving a little bit more of an oomph to the way the guitar sound is put together. It really gives the guitars the perfect foundation, and that becomes the two main driving forces of this track, the guitars and the bass. I really feel like they're tag teaming throughout this song in order to really give you that pathway that you need as a listener in order for you to stay engaged with this song. The merger of the two is absolutely fundamental, and it's really one of the main key ingredients of this track. The vocals have a great tone, great delivery. I love the use of backing vocals on this song. When you add backing vocals to this track and you have that merger of guitars and bass becoming really dynamic, you really start to become, or at least you start to create a song that has a lot of volume, that starts to feel a lot heavier without the single elements necessarily being heavy on their own. It's just the mixture of all of these different pieces coming together add volume within themselves, and then overall you start to feel like you have a very heavy track, even though everything else, when you start to break them down separately, are not necessarily very heavy on their own. But the combination of these elements, either be the bass and guitar put together or the vocals with the backing vocals, really make this song feel bigger and heavier. Another song with an outstanding guitar solo that just absolutely destroys it. It just brings so much energy, so much passion, so much emotion into the way the track is built. I love this song. I love the construction of the track. I love the use of the backing vocals. I love how they made the song heavier without necessarily needing to be heavy. Great track. This is it. This is the Atomic Bitchwax with Scorpio, once again, out August 28th on TP Records. Let me know your thoughts on the band, on the singles. Use the comment section below. I'll be reading those and getting back to you. Take care, guys.